Hey, and good afternoon. I'm Angela Brown, and I'm here today with Michael LeClerc from SkyRun Properties, and we are going to learn some really interesting things about how to clean for Airbnbs. Now, I get this question asked a lot. How do we get into the Airbnb business? How do we clean vacation rentals, short-term rentals? It's a really interesting topic for a lot of cleaning companies. And so today we've got Michael, who is the owner of SkyRun Properties in Park City, Utah. And he's the property management company that works with the cleaners. So he's going to give us some insights and he's going to answer a lot of our questions. So I do encourage you to jump into the comments, ask your questions today, and we're going to get as many of them answered as possible. Please help me welcome Michael LeClerc. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's cold where you are today.
It is. We're in the middle of like a 3-day winter storm. I think a couple of the resorts are closed with 100-mile-an-hour winds on the top of the resort today. But all in all, it's been a good. It was a slow start to the season with regards to our snow totals. So it's very welcome to have. I think we got 36 inches or so in the last 2 or 3 days. So it's been
Oh my goodness.
very welcome. The skiers are happy. We we get much less. Guests are much happier when there's a lot of snow and skiing. When the snow isn't as good, we seem to get more questions and not complaints, but inquiries about why doesn't the microwave work like mine works at home. But when there's a good storm comes through, everybody skis all day. They're exhausted. They eat pizza at night and they go to sleep, and it's great for everyone. Yeah.
So I got a question about the snow. Do you have problems ever with cleaning companies calling out saying we got snowed in and we can't show up?
Yeah, that would be catastrophic. We don't have that. We do have some delays sometimes, but we've never had a clean not happen. We've been doing this for 10 years, and I got to say, my cleaning companies, we've had some times we've had to help them get the clean ready for the guest, but we've never had a time when a cleaner just completely did not show. It's just, as you can imagine, that would be catastrophic, right? You have a guest expecting to arrive at 4 o'clock and the house isn't clean. You realize that they can't make it, and then what do, right? It's unimaginable. So we really count on our cleaners even though they're not our employees, they're separate businesses. They are crucial part of our business, probably the most important part of our business.
Well, I'm so glad we're having this conversation today. And I'm really intrigued by the SkyRun connection between cleaning and the Airbnbs. So if you will, tell us a little bit about SkyRun and how you came to the business and how you work with cleaners.
So I've been doing vacation rentals on a smaller scale of my own properties for several years. And then I was a chef by trade for a long time. So I transitioned into vacation rentals full time, as the chef business is a kind of a young person's business in some respects. So this allowed me to transition to still something in the hospitality industry, but something that I might be able to do for a longer period. SkyRun is a company that we have about 40 locations around the country, over 1,000 properties under management, and I have about 100 properties under management here in Park City.
And so when you say under management, what does that mean?
That means homes that we manage that someone else owns, but we are the vacation rental manager for those properties. So we have contracts with those owners to manage their property, to list their property on Airbnb, take the bookings, handle the revenue, handle the cleaning, handle the maintenance, make sure the guests are good when they're in town, when they're here, and then take care of when they check out, make sure the house looks good, there's no damage, and then schedule the cleaners for the next guest, the next arrival.
So it sounds like the owner of the property is very hands off when it comes to this particular type of scenario when they work with you.
That's the goal. The goal is to give them a very limited need of attention or their time when they're in regards to managing the property. Some owners are more hands-on and they want to be more involved, but usually that's just in the very beginning of when we take on a property and it's all new and they're trying to figure out all the different details. But once we prove ourselves as a good operator and a professional operator, usually the owners are, they go back to their lives, whether they're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever their regular business is, and leave us to manage their property.
So do you love managing properties?
I mean, I like the hospitality side of the business. That's my sweet spot. You have 100 properties, you have 100 owners, you have many different personalities. It does get challenging in that respect, but the North Star for us and my company is that we make happy happen, is what we talk about. Like, we want guests to come in. It's a very big deal for someone to come on a ski vacation. It's very expensive. We got to make sure that that guest at the end of their stay is so happy with their experience that they want to come back again. They want to give us a good review. I know that's something we're going to talk about on this, is about 5-star reviews, because there's nothing more valuable in vacation rentals than 5-star reviews. It's worth all the effort that you put into getting those reviews, because it takes effort to manifest really good reviews. It takes effort from the from the reservation teams, from the teams who are making the listings, taking the photos, making the arrival instructions, handling the guests when they're in the house, cleaners, making sure all those parts of the stay happen seamlessly to get that review. But it's something that, without that, I don't know what you're doing. You're just, it's more of a commodity than a real passion if you're not really interested in making sure guests have a great experience.
Well, SkyRun has a great reputation. And so I'm curious, how did you come upon this? Where when I hear you talk, you're talking about the guest with respect. They spent a lot of money. This is their family vacation. This is something they've been looking forward to. And then you say, from the owner's perspective, our goal is to make it hands off for them so that it's easy and effortless for them. So with respect to the homeowner and respect to the guest, and it sounds like you've got a really great company culture and your reputation speaks for itself. How did you guys get that way?
It's just, it takes effort, right? This is not an easy business, but you do have to just put the effort into, and have your, it sounds corny, but have your core values, have your company ethics or ethos reflect how you want your business to be in 2 or 3 years. Like when you first start, all you're doing is just trying to figure out what you really should be doing. But pretty soon you have to figure out, where do you want to be in 2 years, and 5 years, or in 10 years? And the only sustainable model, I would think, would be to really lean heavily into guest satisfaction. Because with guest satisfaction, you get good, like we went back on, good reviews, which leads to more bookings, which leads to more revenue for the owners, which leads to more owner satisfaction. So we definitely have two different people we have to please. We have to please the guest, and we have to please our owners, our property owners. But it all happens from the guest experience, in my opinion.
So I'm guessing, starting out as a chef and then moving into the hospitality industry from the Airbnb side, I'm guessing that those are skills that have stacked on top of each other. Because even as a chef, we're still talking about customer satisfaction. Customers come because they're having a joyous experience. They enjoy food. They're having, celebrations with family and friends. And again, they're paying out of pocket maybe more than they're spending for their regular grocery bill at home. And so the dining experience is also one of those moments of joy that really requires customer satisfaction. So have you just always been involved in, paying attention to the customer? Is this something that you've just perfected over the years?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that's always been, it's inherent in running a quality hospitality business. And restaurants are hospitality businesses also, just a different segment of of that market. But I used to, tell my team, every plate that you're putting out, that's going in front of someone. It's not
Mhm.
just some random, roasted chicken with this or that on it. It's an actual dish that someone decided to purchase and has expectations for. So don't forget that every dish you make is going in front of someone, and it's their experience. And the same with the vacation, and it transfers into the vacation rental industry. Like every stay, I forget if it's TripAdvisor or someone has a great line. I wish I had thought of it. Is like every trip is a big deal, because
Mhm.
every trip for these guests is a really big deal. And whether it's a 2-night stay in a off season where it's not that valuable, or if it's a stay where it's a super valuable peak ski season week, it's a big deal for that guest, and we have to meet their expectations and try to exceed their expectations as best we can.
So we live in a world of social media where people, and I'm guilty of this myself, I get to an Airbnb and the first thing I do before I load all my luggage in and I clutter up the place is I start taking pictures of it because I know I want to leave a picture on TripAdvisor because I'm going to leave a rating and review. And I want to take a look and see how it was left. Now, I'm a little bit specific because cleaning is my background. And so I want to highlight all of the things that the cleaning company did right. And so I'm looking for all the things that they did right that I can highlight in my rating and review. And so what is the element of, I don't want to say surprise, but maybe, oh, wow, when a guest comes into your Airbnbs and they have this feeling of, wow, check it out, because they're going to take pictures, they're going to post it on social media, check out my vacation, look where I'm getting to stay, that kind of thing.
Right, right. Well, I think same as in a restaurant, first impressions are super important, right? Like as soon as they walk in the door, well, first of all, they have to have easy access to the entry, right? The door code has to work, the instructions have to work. We do an arrival video so that if they follow the video, they're put it on their phone, they push play, and they drive in, take this road, take this left, go to this door, access it with your code. So all those things have to work well for their experience, for their beginning of their experience to be enjoyable. And there's a fear, right? Especially if you're the person who booked the property for 10 people, right? You're the one who made that decision on that property. When you open that door, you're just hoping it looks like the photos. It has the
Yes.
things that like there's a real fear. So we try to make that initial impression. We have lights on, we have the heat on, we have, in certain places we have music playing. We try to have it smell nice, clean, like so that first moment you walk in the door, they're just like, we're going to be okay. The place is what I expected it to be. So I think those first moments, I mean, there's a whole series of things that have to happen, right? That has to be, the booking has to happen seamlessly. The finance, the revenue has to get charged on their accounts correctly, and all those things have to happen. But when the guest first arrives, it's so important that they just have that moment of relief, that they walk in and the place looks like they expect it to be, and it's clean. And people will walk around the house for the first 10 minutes opening every drawer, checking every little thing out, right? You think like, why would anyone go into that drawer? We could just leave something there that no one would bother. And sure enough, someone opens that drawer, or a little kid opens that drawer, because they're inquisitive too. So I think the first impressions are very, very important in the success of a property and success of a booking.
Well, and Airbnb cleaning is a little different from a biweekly cleaning in a regular home, because in a regular home we don't open every drawer and we don't open all the closets and the cupboards and underneath the bathroom sink and all those things. Yet we are required to, for Airbnb cleaning, to make sure people didn't leave smartphone chargers and clothes inside the drawers and things like that. Tell us a little bit about some of the expectations from a property management, from the cleaning company, when the cleaning company works on one of your properties.
Well, we have, very distinct and detailed list of how we want our properties to be cleaned and how we want them to be presented. Um, couple things that really matter are doing semi-annual deep cleans. You really can't do a deep clean on a 3-hour turn between the guest checks out at 11 and your new guests coming in at 4, but they want to get in early. You really have to do your deep cleans periodically because the housekeeping just can't do that. So with that said, the detail that has to happen is, they have to come in, they have to strip all the beds, they have, everyone knows the process, but the eyeballs on it and someone on each team. So we work with, I think, 5 different housekeeping companies. Some have 30 of our properties, 40 of our properties, some have 2 or 3. So each of them have to be integrated with our software. So when we get a booking, they get a notification of the clean for the arrival and the checkout date. So they can implement it however. They all have different software, so it is a little bit of a jumble board trying to make sure everyone has all the information they need. But basically, they receive the notification. We have little QR codes underneath the sink so that we know when the cleaner has started their clean. They scan that code so that we know, okay, boom, 255 Park Avenue's cleaners are there. We know about how long it takes to clean, so we know, okay, and 2 hours from now, that house will be ready for our inspectors to go in. Because we do an inspection after the housekeeping comes through. So we do a second level of eyeballs on the property that we know our inspectors are even more detailed than the housekeeping companies. Our housekeeping companies do a great job, but we still like to have that extra eyeballs on it in case they were rushed or in case they missed something, that we don't have anything missed in the guest for the guest. But we definitely have very high expectations. If something is missed, we communicate with them. They have to get back out. If there's floors weren't done well, or if the countertop wasn't done well, we have our inspectors take photos. If it's something small like that, we'll just do it ourselves and still send them a photo and say, hey, this needs to be done better next time. But if it's like a bed that got missed or a bathroom that got missed, then we will have them come back out. And that serves a couple purposes. Like callbacks, like in any business, if you have to call somebody back out, it's really terrible for your productivity and terrible for your profit margin. So housekeepers are very hesitant to have to send their teams back out. So they will, after a couple times, if someone's saying, okay, the floors have been dirty in this, they'll look at which team that is. And if the team is consistently doing this one issue, then of course they should bring it up with them, because then they don't have to send another inspector out or another cleaner out to clean up after the first team. So there's a lot of communication. I mean, the Airbnb business, it's all about communication with the guests, with the in-house housekeepers, with our team inspectors. There's just our operations manager is like an air traffic controller trying to, there's 30 arrivals in a day, 20 departures. And like you say, somebody left their phone in this bathroom and we got to get it before housekeeping gets there, because they'll put it in their lost and found. And then who knows where that goes, right? It's not like they're stealing it, but it's just in the volume of the day, things can get lost. So communication is really, really important, and having somewhat sophisticated software to work with your property manager.
So when you have another inspector that comes out to inspect the cleaning team, is that their only job? Is that all they do? They just do quality control on the properties?
Yeah, and that's our team. That's one of our team members who does that.
And do they also do that after, let's say, a plumber or an electrician or somebody else that comes in to fix a different piece of the property?
Sure. Yeah, we go and inspect afterwards. Yes.
So you say the communication is key. Are you communicating with the cleaner themselves or with the cleaning owner of the company?
More the software. More the
software
software is communicating. So when the cleaner comes in and they scan their QR code that the clean has started, that's the communication.
Okay.
Either the door lock, we know when the cleaner got in through the door lock because they have their own specific code. So we say, okay, boom, they're in there. Or if the house has a QR code, then we know that the clean started. And then there's another QR code. There's 2 QR codes under the sink. and one is for a completed clean, so that they scan that. It's a completed clean that pings our inspectors. Our inspectors say, okay, I can go inspect this property. Inspectors go and do the inspection, and then they send a notification that the property is guest ready, and that goes to the guest that they can check in to their property.
Wow, that's really detailed.
It is, but a lot of it's happening in the background, right? A lot of it's happening with really good software. SkyRun has an amazing software platform that allows us to configure. In each location can kind of do things different, but it allows you to configure your business exactly how you think it should be configured. And I'm all about as much automation as we can, but not without that personal touch. You still need to be able to contact someone. You still need to be able to communicate with a live person if necessary.
Well, it sounds like you've got a really well-oiled machine. I mean, it sounds like it's running really well. And we know because of the ratings and reviews that drive repeat business, the cleaning is crucial to the property. We know that that is a given in any property. Tell us how a cleaning company would become part of your team, if you will, for some of the properties that you manage.
There's there would be a vetting process. Many times they come to us, maybe a new company who's just moving into our market, and we interview them. We talk to the owner. We see what kind of software they have. We see what their ethos is, how they run their business. And if we feel like they would be a good fit, we might give them a property to do a test on and run with that for a couple weeks, or a couple bookings, or 3 or 4 bookings, knowing that the first booking or 2, of course, they're going to be doing their maybe best job that they will be doing. So you have to see if that is the consistency, something that we can count on. And if they work out, then we would continue to give them more properties, because it's scary as a property manager, vacation rental company. It's scary to have a lot of your eggs in one basket with a housekeeping company. So we do like to diversify in case, who knows what happens, right? Owners get sick, systems fall apart. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's just having a clean not happen would be so catastrophic that you have to be able to cover yourself. And we can do a clean if we have to. We have all our own linens, all our own towels and sheets and everything in our storeroom, that if we had to do it, we could. But that's obviously just in case of emergency break glass kind of situation.
There you go. I want to stop for just a second. I want to say hi to all of you guys that have jumped in and joined us today. Shay says, hi, awesome, welcome. Up at 9:29, lots of smiles there. Hi, guys, so glad that you're here with us today. We've got Violet XOXOXO. This is, hi, Angela, so happy to catch you live. It's been a while for me. It's been a while, and we're glad to see you back. Hello. Amy Sims says, hi, Angela, I'm your new biggest fan. Hi, I'm so glad that you're here today. We've got Rachel Rose, who said, I just made it. And Rachel Rose is from England, checking in with us today. She says, cleanliness is just as important as house setting, it seems. Yes, that is so true. We have Rashana King, who says, can you speak more about the QR code system and what it is? That is a great question, Rashana. Thanks for that.
So the QR code is just, a typical QR code. Your software would have to support that as a communication between the QR code when the housekeeper scans the code into your software to show that the cleaning has started. So, how that actually happens with the in the technology sector is not really my forte, but it's not that sophisticated, right? It's a QR code. They're all over the place everywhere now, and you just have to. Your software would, I imagine, most PMS softwares would have a way to communicate with QR codes.
So the QR code is connected to a website, or it's also connected to the login to an app, for example. And if you have an app, and in the cleaning business, we have lots of different apps. And it could be something like Service Autopilot or Jobber or ZenMaid, House Call Pro. There are a whole bunch of them on the market. And some of them specifically have logins for Airbnbs so that it allows you then to take before and after pictures, for example, if you have to do a damage report or something like that. But with the QR code, then it logs you in to let them know, which would be the same as using like a GPS tracking code that many of the softwares use, that let the owner of the company know that the cleaner has actually landed at the property and that they've clocked in, they've opened up the alarm code and they're inside the property and the job has started. And so that's really important from any cleaning company because time is money. And so if we don't know where our cleaners are, is our cleaner out to lunch? Are they on the job? Have they started a job? And in the Airbnb industry, there's a really small window where people check out and the next people check in. And if it's a fast turn, which means somebody's checking out that morning and somebody's checking in that afternoon, the cleaner better be at the job when these guys check out and before these guys check in. That way, the new guys are not showing up and the cleaner's there and halfway through the job. That would be also catastrophic.
Exactly.
Does
Yeah.
that ever happen to you?
Not as much, like more like people coming in early and the cleaners aren't finished yet because
Uh-huh.
their code wouldn't work on their door. Their code only activates when the inspector pushes their inspected button. That's when their code should activate. But if the cleaners are still there, the guests sometimes just walk right in because the door is open. So cleaners a lot of times now lock the door once they start their clean so that that doesn't happen. But there's been times where people stay late and they claim that they didn't hear about the checkout time and housekeeping shows up and they've got their stuff all over the house. And we do send a lot of notifications to the guests too about that, but it's human nature, right? There's things that happen.
So what do you do in that scenario when the cleaner shows up and they're there ready to do their job and the guest is just kind of like waking up like, oh, we didn't know about the checkout time.
Yeah, we jump right on it with the guests because it's really not the housekeeper's fault, responsibility to take care of, to do that. So we will jump right on the guests. Sometimes we'll go over there to make sure they know the gravity of the situation. And often housekeeping has to leave to go to a new property. They have to skip this one, go to the next one and come back, which messes up their, they have a sequence of cleans that they have for the day based on geography, based on, arrival times, departure times, how long it's going to take to clean a property. So it really throws them. I feel terrible when it happens. And we try to preempt that as much as possible. We send a notification the night before saying, reminder, checkout time's 10 a.m. You will be charged for additional, if we have to change cleaning. And usually the idea of paying a couple $100 change fee for housekeeping gets their attention. And you have to, because there's too much going on in a busy day to play that, to have to deal with that. You just have to be very early late checkouts. You just really can't do them because it's too hard to communicate with housekeeping. What time are you coming? Oh, it's 10 o'clock or 10:30. Okay, we can give them a half hour late checkout. But then maybe housekeeping comes a little bit early because they finished their other job earlier, and then they get there and the guests are still there and they hear 10:30, but they're really thinking, well, I'll be here till 11 kind of thing. So we really pretty much hold firm to our arrival and departure times.
So if you are a guest and you are listening or watching this on a replay, can I please ask you to check out at checkout time for the sake of the property managers, for the sake of the cleaners, and in due respect for the guests that are coming in later that afternoon. When you check into a property, you want it to be nice and clean and ready for you. And if the guest before you does not check out on time, it does throw a monkey wrench in the cleaning process. And then your stay is not going to be as welcoming as it should be. So in order for that domino effect to go smoothly, visit after visit after visit, please, if you are a guest, please respect the checkout times. I think that's only fair in the hospitality game so that everybody gets that, oh, wow feeling when they arrive and they get the stay that they're paying for, right?
Exactly. It really makes a big difference if we have somebody who doesn't abide by the checkout time. It it can throw the whole day into chaos, basically.
And with all due respect, I come from the cleaning side. And so when I'm running a team and we have sent people out to a job and the guests are still there, what happens is this, we're paying for their time. And so if they're out sitting in their car and they're waiting, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for a guest to leave, we're still paying their salary. And we're not earning any extra money for the time that they're not working. And so where it's money coming out of our pockets as well. And so that eats into our profits. And then, like Michael said, sometimes the cleaning company has to leave and go on to another job because the time has passed where they're not going to be able to do the job in the time allotted and they have another job they have to go do. Okay, so now you've paid them for sitting in their car, which is the time you were going to pay them to clean the house. And then now they've got to go do another job. So you got to pay them to go do that other job. Now you're still on the hook because you're the cleaning company. You're still required to somehow figure out, can I get somebody else in on last minute notice to go in and clean that property now that the guest has finally left? And so it throws this enormous amount of stress in the cleaning company because as a cleaning company, we don't want to lose that account. We don't want to lose that job. And so we're going to try to jump through all kinds of hoops to make sure that the property is cleaned before the next guest comes, if at all possible. We don't want to just be the company that's like, sorry, we were there, your fault. So
And I got to say, the companies that work with me are fantastic like that. They really understand, and they're running businesses, and their businesses are probably at a tighter margin than mine is, and I understand like if they. So we don't take them for granted at all. You know, we really talk to them, communicate with the owners all the time about how much we value their efforts because housekeeping is the basis of the whole business is based on housekeeping. I mean, without them, I don't know, you don't have a business. If housekeeping isn't done professionally and on time and to a high degree of high quality, then the whole thing will just fall apart very, very quickly. So we recognize the value of the housekeepers. We do not take them for granted at all.
Do you work with any solo cleaning companies, just like one person that has their own cleaning company and they don't have a team, it's just one person?
I do, and she's got a couple of our properties. She's been with me for a very long time. She's not a software driven. She's a notepad and text kind of based business, but she does impeccable work, and she's limited by that she is by herself, that she cannot take a ton of properties, but the properties she does are always, she really does excellent work. So yes, we do that, but I wouldn't take anyone else on in that situation now. She's just been with me for a long time. I've known,
So if there is a solo company that wanted to work with Airbnbs and a company like yourself, a property management company, would you recommend that they hire people first before they expand their business so that they can do the properties that you need done? How would you recommend they go about doing that?
I think you need to have a certain level of infrastructure for a company to feel comfortable hiring you, right? What happens if you get a flat tire? Your head gasket blows on your car. I mean, there's things that happen in life. And if you're the only person who could clean that house and the only person who has all the sheets and the linens and all the cleaning supplies for that house, what happens if something does happen? You get in an accident, car breaks down, you get sick. There's too many risk factors for us to take on someone with just one employee, just the owner operator. So I would say you would have to make an Airbnb vacation rental manager comfortable. I think you would have to have a little bit of an infrastructure in place. Yeah.
When you say a little bit, what are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody with 3 employees, 5 employees, 20?
I would say at least, no, I would say 3 would give me comfort that someone else could step in if the lead person wasn't able to do the job.
Okay. And when you take a company on, you said you give them a trial run, like maybe they do a property or two for a couple of bookings to see if they did a really great job and can they be consistent? Is there something specific that you're looking for when a company comes to you and they say, "Hey, I want to audition for this job"?
Um, just I think we mentioned earlier about the ethos of a company. So just they come into our office, we talk to them, we try to hear their story. If they're just moving to town, if they're just setting up shop, that's a little bit of a something we're keep in the back of our mind, because companies, it's a hard business, right? Somebody who's just starting a housekeeping company might not know what they're getting themselves into, and very quickly they can learn that it's really difficult, it's very logistically challenging, and you have to be on it to run a housekeeping company that is profitable. So we would try to just get a feel for who they are as a person, and then nothing really um, shows you as well as how they work and how they communicate and how their cleans are at the end of the day. So I don't think there's anything in specific that we look for, just the overall package of communication, personality. They do sometimes deal with guests, so they have to have people who can, sometimes there's a guest, like they do a mid-stay clean or something like that where there's guests in-house. So we have to be comfortable that they're can speak to a guest politely and with the hospitality mindset.
One thing that Michael is not telling you, but from the cleaning side of it, I want to throw this out at you. If you are a cleaning company, and he just brought up mid-stay cleans. So what this is if a guest is there for a long period of time, let's say 10 days or 2 weeks, it might be that halfway through the vacation, or maybe 2 times during that vacation, we drop by and we change the linens out, give them new towels and things like that, tidy up, sweep, mop the floors, empty the trash, that kind of thing. But one of the things that he's not saying is the level of professionalism and how you look. And so if you are servicing the customers, this is one where it's great if you're wearing a uniform. If you are hygienically clean, that means your hair is done, you took a shower that morning. I hate to say this, but we're going to say it because it's important that when you're interacting with the guests that you look professional. That means you did take a shower, your hair is combed, your teeth is brushed. I mean, you've got, you're a package that you're selling the service, right? If you sell a cleaning service, you must look clean. And so it's easy if you are a small company to just roll out of bed and say, I'm going to be cleaning all day. I'm going to be hot and sweaty, and I'm just going to throw my hair up in a bun and wear my sweats and go. Please don't do that. Okay. This is a very specific industry where you are expected to look professional if your guests and your people see you, right? Because this is something, again, they could screenshot this. This goes on social media. This goes back to the company. Please, 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 the highest level of professionalism that you can pull off while you're cleaning. And so I really want to highlight that, because if you are face to face with a customer, and chances are you will be, okay, you will be, people will see you cleaning. They will see you leaving a property. They will see you coming. There are neighbors, especially if there's an Airbnb, they're all watching you on security cameras. People are watching you. And so if you are in the hospitality industry, please be professional under all circumstances. And that includes your car. And I don't know about the Park City area, if there's a lot of snow, maybe there's a lot of stuff on the side of your car, mud, sleet, whatever. But if at all possible, and I know we're in North Carolina where we don't have the snow like they do in Utah, if at all possible, drive your car through the car wash so that your car looks nice and clean when you get out of the car to go work on that property. Because if you're a cleaning service, everything about you, from your cleaning supplies to your car to your person, should reflect that as part of your ethos and part of what you do and part of your company culture. All right. I just had to say that.
Thanks for saying that. That's great.
All right. So I'm curious, have you ever fired a cleaning company? And if so, why?
Yes, we have. And Mostly inconsistent cleans. Inconsistency is it's the death knell, right? You need to know that things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen at the quality you're expecting them to happen. And everyone has days, and that's why we send an inspector out to every property, because we understand that life happens, right? But when it happens too often and we can't count on it, it just has to happen. But we've only fired 2 companies, I think, and it was, there's no fun. It's a business for them, right? If they had 20 of our properties and we pull those properties, it's a very big impact on their business. But we would never do it just on a whim. It's always after many conversations and many attempts to rectify whatever the situation is that's causing the not confrontation, but the situation to happen. And listen, we're not perfect either. Things happen, right? Sometimes a booking doesn't get communicated, even though it's in the software. I mean, so we understand. We're not a perfect company either. We try our best, and I guess that's what we expect people who work with us to also try their best.
Well, and I do love the fact that you're willing to give them a try and that you're willing to communicate with them and you're willing to give them a second chance and say, hey, something malfunctioned here and let's make sure this never happens again. I think it's really important for house cleaners to understand that the Airbnb or vacation rental industry is a really specific level of stress. And I say stress, it's kind if I say this, but it's important to know it's not just it's willy-nilly and I'll get there whenever I can. There's going to be a range of 9 to 12 and I'm just going to show up whenever I feel good and ready or whenever I'm available. It's not like that. There's a very specific window where you have to show up. And if guests are coming in, you have to be done before a certain time. And so there's a very specific level of excellence that is required on every single job. Can you speak to us about the level of excellence and how that ties into the 5-star ratings and reviews?
Yeah, I mean, it all builds upon all the reviews, all the good guest comments we get build on the housekeeping, because if the housekeeping isn't done well, and it's like, if you go back to the restaurant reference, right? You go into a restaurant and the first person at the front desk is the hostess or the host, and they're kind of snarky, they're not very nice, they don't have that, you're immediately, you kind of start looking for other things that maybe are wrong. The food was a little bit slow in coming, or the server didn't get my drinks quick enough. The same thing happens with guest reviews, right? If they come in and there's a hair on the pillow, or there's a tissue underneath the sofa that didn't get noticed, and they see it, then they start thinking, oh my gosh, what else is not clean? What else? And then they start really looking more deeply. And if they find something else, then it just kind of cascades into a situation where sometimes we have had to send housekeeping back out to do a full clean when a guest has already arrived because of something like a hair on a pillow. I mean, it seems so silly, a hair on a pillow, but it's just not something that could be acceptable, right? So we send all our inspectors have little lint rollers, and they're instructed to go through all the pillows and make sure they look at them all and just pick up any, because it's not even that someone didn't clean the pillowcase, right? They're cleaning, they're working, and leave the room, and one of their hairs is just floating around in the air, and it just comes down and lands on the pillow. I mean, it's not like something intentional, but it's something that's why I think it's really important to do for the management company to take some responsibility and not just count on housekeeping to be the final view before the guest arrives. And
I'm so glad you brought that up, though, and I want to talk about the hair. It is the reason why in the cleaning business we insist that we take a shower, we wet our hair, we pull it back, we gel it back, we tie it in a tight knot. Man bun if you're a guy and you have long hair, for this very reason. It is proven that we lose 150 to 200 hairs a day, and you cannot control that. You're only going to lose them at your house. You're going to lose them at any house, and it happens randomly throughout the day. But you cannot risk losing a hair at a job. You cannot, because you will get a callback, and it is the number one reason we get callbacks. There was a hair behind the bathroom door. There was a hair on a pillow. There was a hair in the kitchen on the white tile in the kitchen. I mean, people feel like it's unsanitary, right? And just like Michael said, you could be cleaning and you did an amazing job, and on the way out the door, one of your hairs flew off and hit the floor or something. Okay, you cannot. That's why we use hairspray, we use gel, whatever you got to do, make it stick. This hair that you see right now, this is the look. This is what it looks like, and you cannot lose any hair while you're on a job. Like I say, it will cost you a job. It will make you go back for a reclean, and that's 20 minutes in commute time, and it's lost revenue in the time that you got to go stop, and then you don't know if it was just one hair. Now you got to check behind all the bathroom doors, and you got to check in the kitchen and all the other places. It's a colossal waste of time. Don't do it.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. And one thing I wanted to add on to that, the other reason why we do our own inspections is I don't think it's fair when property management companies count on housekeeping to do their inspections, because there's things like handles on the door is loose, the blind won't go up and down. I don't expect housekeeping to report that to me. I expect them, if the bed is broken or something like that, hey, that's, but they're busy cleaning, and I don't expect them to do the inspector's job. So I think property management companies need to participate in that and not just say, oh, well, housekeeping was there. I mean, I know companies that just don't do inspections, and they just give their guests a discount on their cleaning, or don't charge them for cleaning, rather than pay a housekeeper, an inspector to go in and do the job. But you're not going to get 5-star reviews with that kind of, it might be more cost efficient, but I don't think you should count on housekeeping to do your final inspection before the house is guest ready. So,
And I love that you feel that way. As a cleaning company, I feel that way about the cleaning company. We use a checklist that we create with an Airbnb host or a property manager. And together we decide what that property must look like when it is passed. When this passes inspection, what does this look like? So that we both know what that level of excellence is. And then we have a checklist, and we do inspect our own work before we leave the property for this reason. If I know that I've got somebody coming in to double check my work, and they're going to find things that I have slided or ignored or left behind. Now, maybe there is a loose handle. And if I can tell you that, your guy can come right to the loose handle. You guys can fix it. Boom, we're done, right? That's us working together. But I don't ever want a cleaner, and I want to make this very clear, because I love what Michael said. Michael said from a property management side, he said, our guys are going to do the inspection. From the cleaner side, our guys are going to do the inspection, okay? The cleaners, I want the cleaners to do their own inspection, so that when you leave, your head is held high and you're like, I did my best work. There's going to be a 5-star review waiting for me because of the job I just did. And that's how I want you to leave the property. And if an inspector comes in behind you, I want them to turn around and go, there was nothing for me to fix. It was awesome. That's what I want them to say. Okay. So this is me and Michael looking at you guys straight in the eye saying, listen, you guys check your bases and do your inspections and check your work, because the level of excellence is so high in this game. And I got to tell you this, there are so many properties that are out there. And the competition is fierce. This is a really fierce game, and it's not just Airbnbs competing with each other, but they're also competing with the hotel industry. Okay, so every time anyone anywhere can get a room somewhere for the night, that's the competition. And it's not just Airbnbs. So if you don't work for a hotel and you do work for a cleaning company, your job is on the line. It is so important that when you leave that job, no stones are unturned. Okay. Everything has been checked. Everything has been done. Everything has been marked off. When you leave, you're like, oh yeah, I got this.
We also we share the 5-star reviews with our housekeeping teams too. So if we get a stellar review that mentions cleaning in there, we'll send that to the housekeeping team too with a big thank you.
Oh, I love that. What advice would you give to a guest that is leaving a property? How can they best turn the property or get their stuff ready? Do they pull the linens off the beds? What do they do to make it easier for the cleaning team from your perspective?
Yeah, we don't, we don't have our guests do really anything. We ask them to take out the trash and load and start the dishwasher. That's the
Okay.
only thing we ask them to do. Um, Stripping linens, I think that was a thing 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Everyone made guests strip all the beds. But as you've seen on, Airbnb forums and all, it's a big pain point now that many hosts make people do many chores before they check out, and not people are not liking it. So I think what we do is what you what you should do is just keep it simple for the guests. They're trying to check out. They're trying to catch a plane, pack in. There's kids, forgot this. I mean, the last thing they need to do is have a checklist before they check out. So keep it simple. Don't make them do too much. We don't make the beds. Don't, like we've had situations where, someone made their bed and then housekeeping didn't clean it because they thought no one had ever used it. But it
Hmm.
was used. And then we find, oh my gosh, that's a used bed. So right now it's just leave it as is. We'll take care of it. Just start the dishwasher, because that's the one thing that can hold people back is running the dishes. Especially if it's a smaller property that only takes an hour or so to clean, the dishwasher could take that whole time. And we also don't do linens in our properties. Our housekeeping companies come with new linens in a bin or a bag every day. They may have to do one or two things in a dish in the owner's laundry just for whatever reason, but you don't want to do laundry in someone's house because
Hmm.
the laundry will take longer than the clean in most
Right.
cases.
Excellent idea. So tell me, what about foodstuffs? When a guest has food that they've eaten half of it and it's not quite finished, what do they do with the other half of the food?
They leave it in the fridge, and we have housekeeping throw away, unfortunately, and they're welcome to take something if they want, but anything that's we call wet, which is anything in the fridge except for like vinaigrette, mustard, those kind of things. Condiments. We do allow condiments to be left. No one has to touch them if you don't. If a next guest is kind of sketched out by something that's in the fridge, that's fine. They don't have to use it. But a lot of times guests don't mind having a couple little things, olive oil, spices. But for the most part, we empty the fridge out, and housekeeping is welcome to. If there's an unopened block of cheese or something like that, they are welcome to take that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And how about towels? What are your recommendations for guests that maybe take their makeup off with the white towels?
Well, you try to leave the black towels there, and you hope that they use the makeup towels. So every bathroom has a black makeup towel there, and you just hope that they use it. But I mean,
So
it happens, right? But that you try to make it as easy as possible for guests to do the right thing.
there you go. All right. So if you are a guest and you're watching this, these are some tips and hints that you can take a hold of, and it'll help you be a better guest. Okay. So if you see a black or a dark towel inside the bathroom, that is used for your makeup so that your makeup does not get on the white linens. And can you speak to people who use hair dye while they're on vacation at the Airbnbs?
Um, that can be a problem. Yeah. Again, I mean, you try to mitigate for every situation as you can, but some things just still happen. So just try to be. I mean, it is someone's home, it is someone's property, so try to remember that when you're staying at someone's house. And Airbnb hosts review the guest just as much as guests review the host. So it isn't just a one-way street that the guest gets to review the host. The host does get to review the guest. So if we do have a guest that some guests are destructive. Some guests do have, whether it's intentional or just disregard for someone's property. There is some things that happen sometimes, and just remember that the host does get to review the guest. And if you have a bad review as a guest, like, oh, they damaged this property, they were inconsiderate, they were noisy, the next host might not want to book with you, but have you book their property. So it needs to be a mutual respect. Basically, if we respect the guests, they need to respect us and the property.
Tell me about guests that come and have great big large parties. I know a lot of the ski rental areas. You're getting families of 8 or 10 people that come, and it's a great big family affair, and they're staying at the property for a week. And is there anything that a group can do that's helpful, that will be more respectful to the property?
Mostly, it would be about noise, right? Noise is, a lot of these homes are in neighborhoods. The neighbors on both sides might be permanent residents. It's a touchy subject in the industry, right? The impact of Airbnbs on neighborhoods. So we send out a good neighbor notification. So telling them, reminding them that you know you're in a neighborhood. People are living next door. Please respect them. Um, Quiet times. We also do. We also put noise monitoring devices in some properties that are more prone, like the larger properties that are, excuse me, more prone to parties. That give us indications if someone is above a certain decibel level, or is smoking, or these kind of things. So um, the best thing you could do is just try to remember you're in somebody else's neighborhood, in somebody else's town. Try to live like a local, and you wouldn't do that in your neighborhood or to your next door neighbor.
And I love that. I love that we are talking about, for guests, tips that you can use in order to be a better guest, so that you are invited back.
Mhm.
I know that there was a wedding that I attended in Salt Lake City, Utah, earlier this year. And when I went there, now I'm the guest. I'm the guest at the Airbnb. And my family was there. So there were a lot of us at this Airbnb, and we were trying to be respectful. But while I was there, I was washing the coffee pot, and I didn't break it on anything. I didn't hit it on anything. It was just that it had been sitting on the coffee for so long, on the coffee burner, that I think it weakened the bottom of it. And when I was washing the coffee pot, the bottom just fell out. And my first thought was, oh no, I just broke their coffee pot, like literally washing it with a damp cloth. And my first thought was, this is not my fault. But what do I know? I'm at someone else's property, and the next guest that comes, because we're checking out later that day, the next guest that comes is going to want to make coffee tomorrow morning. And so for me, I sent a runner out, one of the family members. I said, hey, if you're at the store, can you pick me up a coffee pot? Here is this model. And I took a picture of the coffee pot. I need a coffee pot replacement before we check out today. Because what I do know is this: the next person that comes in is not going to be happy if the coffee pot is missing, right? And so we replaced it before we checked out. And then we didn't report it and say, hey, we broke your coffee pot, because we'd already replaced it. Now there's a new coffee pot for the next person that comes in. So I want to ask you, as a guest, if you are a guest, please be respectful. And if you do break something that cannot be replaced, please contact the owner or the property management company immediately, so they can replace that before the next guest comes in. And if it is something you can do yourself, please do. Just like the coffee pot, it's not an expensive thing, and it wasn't impossible to find. The Target or Walmart or whatever it was had one, and it was the exact brand. It looked exactly like the one that was there. We were able to do it without getting anyone else involved. If you can do that, please do that, so that it's the next guest experience that you're helping, so that you don't get the bad ratings and reviews.
Nice.
Stuff like that happens all the time, all the time.
And really, from our that you went above and beyond. Honestly, I mean, from our point of view, just let us know. Let us know that blender broke, or let us know that whatever happened, because we do want to get it fixed for the next guest.
Well, sometimes stuff will happen, and it's unfortunate when it does. But if you can take care of it, please do. It reduces the stress level for everybody involved. For a management company, and I love the fact that you're willing to deal with it. For a management company, if you had to go replace 6 coffee pots today in your 100 properties, that's extra amount of time and energy that you could be doing something else, right?
Oh, absolutely. If a guest can do that, that's fantastic. But at least report it.
Yeah. All righty. Our time is up for today. Oh my goodness, I can't believe how fast our time has flown. And this has been absolutely joyous. Thank you so much, Michael LeClerc, for joining us today, for all of your insights and wisdom. Please tell our listeners where they can go to find you.
Yeah, we're easy to find. We're in SkyRun ParkCity, Park City, Utah. We manage properties in Deer Valley, Park City, and the canyons. So we live in a beautiful place, and come visit us sometime. Love to have you.
All righty. And are you at skyrun.com?
Yeah,
Is this right?
that's our main website, and I'm actually at parkcity.skyrun.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will leave links in the show notes so that you guys can check out the Park City version of SkyRun. And if you are a cleaning company, also, we would like to thank you for your insights and your wisdom for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Angela.
All right. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Take care.